when you settle for less than, you start creating situations that's less than, and then you get treated like less than, and then life looks like it's less than, and then you start feeling like you less than. So when you start feeling like you less than, you start treating yourself like you less than, and then you start doing things that's less than, and then it puts you in situations that's less than, and then you always wind up giving more but always receiving the less end. So what I'm trying to tell you is that if you want to receive more, you don't have to focus on yourself more. You don't have to try to practice some self-care or try to practice some self-love, because that's just all ego admiration. True self-care is actually being able and having the ability to experience yourself through others. Meaning that if you wanted to actually show yourself self-care, that you could actually use another person as the medium and care for them a lot, because you see yourself within that other person. Now, you sticking to yourself and preserving yourself and you calling that self-love, that's nothing but your alternative self. You're giving your false self, your false pride, your ego, you giving that attention. Because if it is so much love in that type of self-love, why do you still feel alone? Why do you still feel unhappy in certain ways if it's so much love in that type of self-love? So obviously it must be a twist to that type of self-love. In fact, that type of self-love is not even real love. It's not even your real self. See, your real self is not even in your real self. Your real self is in your perception. It's in everything around you. So in that sense, it's letting you know that you are everywhere. You are in everything. So for you to take that power and suppress it, you only suppress yourself. You only suppress your true divinity. And then when you go through life and you wonder why things keep happening or not happening for you and to you, it's because that you feel less than. So you always gonna find yourself in situations giving more and you getting the less end. Because you keep going into a situation with this subliminal plot of fulfilling yourself, get everything you need. You see, that goes back to that that self-love that you have, where it's always about self. So you're only worrying about how you could fulfill yourself in that situation, how another person should be responsible for making you happy, and when they're not making you happy, then you find yourself saying, "Oh, this is not my type of situation. This is not the one for me, because the one for me would know how to make me happy and know how to treat me, but actually the one for you probably wouldn't know any of those things, because you don't even know those things. You don't even know how to make yourself happy, because if you do, you would never need somebody else to make you happy." So maybe you did grow up and was raised by people who didn't know they worth, so they treated you like you was worthless, or gave you some type of worth that's not even your real self-worth, and you just carried it on in life thinking that that amount was actually what you was worth, but you was way more than that. So you started acting out in that amount of worth. So your whole life you probably been acting like $10 when deep inside you really worth $82 billion. So when you finally get introduced to your worth, because it will try to give you clues, and when you finally get introduced to your worth and you see a lot of beautiful and grand things coming into your life, you start to question it and you become paranoid, you become skeptical because you're so used to being treated like you're worthless and being taken advantage of and being treated less than frequently and constantly, that when something finally breaks that cycle, you actually will put your guards up and try to defend that cycle. So it only shows that you accept defeat and you accept abuse as if that's your norm. So anything that's trying to uplift you in another sense is actually bringing you down, because you don't need upliftment. You didn't teach yourself how to be uplifted. You only taught yourself that this is what you do, this is your role, and this is how you got to play it, and you always got to make somebody else happy. So then you finally try to figure this all out and figure like, all right, now I'm gonna practice my self-love, because this is the thing. This is like the trend for you now. Not even realizing that self-love is actually a subliminal act of self-hate, because you neglect one part and feed another part. So you neglect your soul just to fill your ego, to feed it, because it wasn't your real self that was hurt or your soul that was hurt. It was just your pride, your ego. It was the fact that you thought life was a certain way, and then you got disappointed when you found out that life and people are the total opposite of what you expected. So what's really hurting you was just your expectation and your projection on life, and it had nothing to actually do with your real self. So what are you truly loving? And then you need to really think about something deeper. Think about how many people or how many souls and beings that need exactly what you have inside of you, and you deprive them of that experience because you don't realize that you're more than less than. And until you become a leader and stop being a follower, you always gonna find yourself lonely and still trying to figure it out. Life is already figured out for you. So the fact that you're even on a journey to try to figure something out, it already shows that you're more lost than lost. So really think about that. Really think about the amount of circumstances that you've been through, the amount of critiques and all that criticism and those words and opinions that you actually convinced yourself that you are. So you basically became somebody else's opinion of you, and you don't even have a real opinion of yourself, and you still to this day keep choosing other people's opinions over yours. You value others over you, and that's why others seem more happy than you, because you value them more than your own happiness. You value other people being happy more than you. Matter of fact, you love seeing other people happy, and you love making them feel good, but you can't do it for yourself. Because if you ever was to realize what you was actually doing and understood what I was telling you, then maybe, just maybe, you wouldn't look at me like I was so different, like I was so unique, like I was just that special. Maybe you'll look at me like you deserve me, and then maybe, just maybe, I wouldn't be too good to be true for you. I actually would just be for you.